Hello and welcome back to the Heroic Scale podcast. I'm Dale,
And I'm Robert.
and we are back after a break for a while to handle some stuff. Um, I realize that we've missed a lot, so we're kind of gonna do encompass all the stuff that we've missed in this week's episode, and still go over the new stuff for the news this week.
We're catching up.
Yeah, we're catching up. And usually I say this at the end of the shows, but I'm gonna say at the beginning of the shows in case y'all don't listen the whole time. Leave questions, comments in the
Hey, what a
section
novel
below.
idea. Let's put it first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Hit the notification bell. We're here. We'll answer your questions. Even if they're dumb, we'll answer them. We'll answer them.
Even if you just say hi, we'll just say hi back.
Yeah. So let's just get into the usual business first. Did you do any hobbying, Robert?
I did a ton of hobbying.
Robert, can you say that again? Not like an old
Oh, I
man.
did a ton of hobbying.
Oh, really?
I have, so since we talked last, um, my what do you call it? My models came in, my proxy models. So I have the Rhino model I was proxying for Beast. And the Nick Fury, I was just going to proxy until the Nick Fury came out, which came out in the time. So I had primed, painted, and played with those with you, which we'll talk about later. Um, and then Nick Fury came out last week, I think at this point. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out last week. So I built, primed, and painted Nick Fury and the Shield agents. I also acquired Colossus. He is built and primed, but not quite painted yet, just because I'm not 1,000% sure on the way I want to paint him. So I haven't decided quite yet if I'm doing the red and yellow,
Or like where he
or if
fits
I'm.
in your lists, right?
No, he definitely doesn't fit my list, but I'm
Okay.
going to paint him anyways.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to paint him, and I've been seeing a lot on the Facebook group people who use chrome marker to
Yeah.
paint. Like it looks really good. Like it looks like super like chromy and shiny, and I'm probably gonna do
Is
that.
that blast through an airbrush though, or is that like?
No, it's a pen.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's like a pen. Like it's like you just like a Gundam marker.
Oh God.
You do it like that. So, but it's like a thicker Gundam marker.
Right.
So yeah, I might do that. Just I might want to play with it because like the model I saw it on looked really cool.
Yeah.
Unless it was faked, of course. Because who knows? Um, did I build anything else? Hobby wise?
Or buy anything
Nothing
else?
Warhammer. Huh?
Yeah, or buy anything else that counts as hobbying too. Buying is fifty
Buying
percent.
counts as hobbying now?
Yeah, buying is 50% of the hobby, right? Like.
Oh, okay. I bought a bunch of paint and stuff for the Nick Fury.
The contrast paints for
I
skin
bought the contrast
tones.
paints. I got the dark blue for the clothing for the agents and for Nick.
Ooh, which color did you get?
Um,
The Viadon blue.
yes.
That's the one I use for Nova and my orcs.
I don't think I put it on properly on Nick Fury. It looks good on the Shield agents. It doesn't. It looks weird on Nick, but that just might have been because the way I primed him. Like it might not have been enough or too much white. I don't know. Um, so I did that, and then I got the skin tones, the dark oath flesh, and the
Gilliman's flesh.
Gilliman's flesh. So those are. I wasn't convinced. Like it takes like a couple of coats of the dark oath flesh to be.
It does, but it doesn't. I didn't do multiple coats on my Dr. Voodoo. It just depends on how thick you put it on, and just trust
Or
it
the
to.
prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Gilliman's Plus, I'm not quite sold on yet. It kind of works, it kind of doesn't. I'm not
I wonder if
I'm
you're
not
priming
100%.
wroong because like it looks great on my stuff.
Oh, I'm probably priming wrong. That's definitely
We'll do a
probably the thing
tutorial
because it's like
tomorrow.
and then I didn't buy anything Warhammer, didn't buy anything Legion, didn't buy anything. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't count. What about you?
Yeah, so I didn't do a whole lot because of things, but I did order a Nova proxy miniature for Marvel Crisis Protocol from C27 Miniatures, and I'm gonna use him as a proxy for Captain Marvel. So I had to do a little bit of modifying for him to make him to cut him off the base that he came on and put him on an actual Marvel base because I don't like the bases that they was printed on.
Yeah, the printed bases are just kind of weird, right? The resin printed
Well, and
bases, at
plus I
least, are
put
kind of
magnets on
weird.
the bottom of mine, so I couldn't put a magnet
Gotcha.
on there. So, and then I painted Nova up, so he'll be on the channel in June. So look out for that one. Along with some new thumbnail art. But yeah,
You should fast track that
yeah, I don't
video.
know. I'll have to see what the order of things are coming out, and then just
Mm,
maybe just
yeah.
pop it in or not. Um, but I think that's the only hobbying that I've done. Let me look behind me really quick
No,
to
you've
see.
sent me more stuff. Magic.
No, I think I thought we talked about that one because we had the
No,
game.
because no, I think you got magic.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that one, even if we didn't. But it's just I painted Magic, and built her and everything too. But I'm pretty sure we talked about that game that we played too. So, because I remember talking about the balance of them and like where I thought some people were good and some people were bad on my team.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I think that was it. I mean, and I also built some Gundam models, but I don't think that counts.
Nope.
Well, and then we didn't play any games, so that's been that.
No, we
Wait,
played games.
no, we didn't.
Yeah, we
What
did.
did we play?
Yeah, because we were out, and then you came over during the our break. So we haven't talked about the game
Oh, I guess we didn't then, huh?
because you did come
Yeah,
over
because that was
during the
during it,
break.
wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was like it was that first week,
yeah, I think you're right.
or wait, no, because I went to hold on. I'm trying to think here.
It was like a couple weeks in.
Sunday, I went to the zoo. Did you come over on Saturday?
I think I did.
Yeah. Okay. So we haven't talked about it. So
And
that game
Michelle
has
came
not been
over
spoken
too. And
about.
Michelle came over too.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so we played a game of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Uh,
And
and a tactics.
yeah, the tactics.
I dominated like always in a tactics.
It's so difficult with those models that have the big, huge missiles. I'm not
uh,
used to Grievous either. His missile's weird.
yeah, and then but that was a standard game of tactics. It's still really fun. Still really simple.
Yeah, I can't wait to come when we come over to your house tomorrow to play with the Marvel figures, just to see how,
Different.
because my melee figure didn't really work that
Well, and
well.
there's a lot more melee for Marvel.
Exactly. So I'd like to see how that end works for it.
Um, and then so I was my Avengers team of Captain America, Steve Rogers, uh, Magic, Black Widow, the first Black Widow from the starter set.
You just say Black Widow. The one's Black Widow, Agent of Shield.
Oh, is it really? I don't know.
Yes.
And then who were the other two that I used? I used um,
Rocket,
Rocket Raccoon and
Raccoon, Black
Hulk.
Widow.
Hulk.
That's right, Hulk.
And then you used
I used the Avengers
Sam Wilson, Captain America.
Sam Wilson affiliation with obviously him. Did I use War Machine?
No,
I used War Machine. I didn't.
no, this is Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, Nick Fury, Ghost Rider, Nick Fury, Captain America, Black Widow, and Rhino, aka
Right.
and Beast. So those are the 5 I used.
Right.
Yes, and it was a very tight game. Very, very tight. Um, you were dominating for the majority of it, I
Um,
would say.
I wouldn't say I was dominating. I would say Hulk was dominating. I don't think my team was dominated.
Hulk's a big
He's really good.
bruiser. I feel like,
He's really good now, guys.
but I
Y'all,
feel like
his powers are so soft.
his powers are good, and you get dice the more damage you have, right? The more like every 4
For
damage.
every 4 damage or 3 damage, he gets one more attack
So
dice.
I feel like if you go first with Hulk, and then if I pile on the rest of my team to Hulk, by the end of that turn, he's going to be dead.
Maybe.
That's kind of my problem with him.
But I
Is he
also killed
has
3 of your guys in one turn with him.
yes,
Like, he's crazy. But
yeah.
also, I think like Ghost Rider is no joke either. He was pretty good, like the penance stare thing, and like not letting me get energy for the attacks and all
Yeah,
that.
it was that first one I did though was really horrible. It was like because Hulk gets a lot of dice,
Right.
obviously. I mean, gets a lot of energy
Yeah.
for his things. So I get the Ghost Rider gets extra dice depending on how much energy they have. That's extra up to 5. So I was rolling 10 dice against him, and that first one I whiffed so hard.
Yeah.
I think I only hit you once, and then you just blocked
Yeah, I
like
was
30
rolling really
times.
well, I think, in the beginning of the game, and it let me run away with it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I basically Rocket didn't do anything the whole game. He is set on
Well, he's sitting
objectives.
back there, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the problem with like the sitting objectives that I don't like. At least it was in your zone, so it's not like you really had to worry about a lot of
Right.
things until the end, obviously.
Right.
But with Nick Fury being able to drop down the
Yeah. And
agents
then you
and
sit
just
there.
sitting there,
Yeah.
and I don't have to worry about
Being out a
an
whole
objective
unit.
being out of whole unit exactly.
Yeah.
And we were even playing it wrong, and they could have set up there,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was interesting. So yeah, it's just crazy stuff like that. So it's like it's definitely interesting to see how this.
Yeah, it eventually snowballed though to I mean not snowballed, but it got to a
It
point
didn't
to where like
snowball.
I
It
wasn't
just took.
doing the damage enough to get out of your people, so you knocked out Black Widow, who's pretty easy to knock out.
Yeah,
Captain America he stood pretty well for a while. Hulk,
yeah. With the body, you were bodyguarding too with him.
yeah, and I think so. And then like, but then once I hit that, then you were able to get it up to pretty much like even Stevens, and it came down to the very last turn, to where it was going to be a tie if he couldn't get Rocket off this objective.
So I just dazed him,
Yeah, so you just dazed
and that
me,
gets him off.
and because Rocket's really easy to kill too.
Yeah,
It was a good game. It was the closest game we've ever played, I think, and then we were pretty good about the rules.
I think so too. Obviously the card thing was a misplay, but I
Right.
would have just played it on something else, so it doesn't really
Well, and
matter.
also I think you're using some of the wrong.
No, I was definitely using the wrong cards, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I'll show you tomorrow. It didn't matter, but Ghost Rider's card was updated, and I didn't have the updated card.
Right.
But yeah, what we did was we used Ghost Rider's able to come back to life by sacrificing another one of your people, basically.
Yeah.
And I had played that on the Shield agents because the rules weren't out yet. That tells you can't target.
Or they were. We just
Grunts.
didn't read it.
No, the rule wasn't out yet.
But I don't know if did you resurrect Ghost Rider? I don't know if I killed him. Did I? I don't think I killed him enough. I just dazed him out, and then you.
No, you definitely did something because I was moved back to the beginning of the area with him.
Okay. Okay. Maybe I threw him.
So maybe you threw him. It was potentially you threw him or potentially I used the card. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But either way, that would have been a misplay when I used the card because you can't use cards on the people, nor can you use affiliation abilities.
Right.
But Beast was shockingly better than I thought he would be.
Yeah, Beast's pretty good.
And since he's Avengers affiliate, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm using him. And I obviously like the Rhino better. And I think it played pretty thematically well for a Rhino. At least in my book, picking up people and throwing them. And just Beast attack allows him to basically reposition after he hits you, which is cool. So it's basically the same like Rhino, like moving through you or whatever. So it's really cool. And it's a really cool way to get 2 objectives. And he stood pretty well against the Hulk, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you had a couple abilities that were like let you like spend something to like avoid taking damage or something like that.
Yeah, he had there was something that allowed him to get more dodge dice.
Yeah, but it was a close game. I mean, I'm still not 100% on board with the different objectives and like having to leave characters to defend an objective the whole game. Kind of feels
I mean, you don't
boring.
have to, right? It just depends on how you want to play the game.
But like
If
you
you
know, like Aegis Sigmar, you have it for one turn, then you have it until someone else takes it. I think
yeah,
that would
but
be
look,
better.
think of it this way. It's like you could play aggro or you could play defensive. So if you moved Rocket forward and just had screwed that back objective from the beginning, you'd put yourself in a better position to get more victory points later. So by staying back there for at least 2 turns, you've kind of put Rocket out of the game, and he couldn't do anything the entire time.
I think that would matter if you didn't have the shield agents to just kind
exactly
of soak it up.
for sure, definitely. But the shield agents only have one defense dice. You could shoot, like you could throw something or shoot them.
Yeah.
So if Rocket was closer,
But then you
he
just
could
resummon
potentially
them
hit
again,
them.
so it's not like it's.
But it's not like I can infinitely summon them, right? So it's like, so and I wouldn't technically have the objective on my turn, like kind of thing. So it's like you could strategically wait till I've gone with Nick Fury, and then like Rocket has like a range 5, doesn't he?
Yeah, all his
So it's like
range 5.
use him to snipe that shield agent.
Yeah.
Would be a good idea, but obviously you have to keep Rocket safe.
Yeah, so like usually I would probably thinking back, I would have swapped Rocket with Natasha, just because Rocket always has cover and you can't throw him. So like
Yeah, that definitely would have been a better play for sure.
Yeah.
But Natasha has good
Well, she has
defense.
counterattacks and stuff like that she could do.
She's counterattacks, and counterattack doesn't really ever. I don't think
It came into play a couple
mainly
times, but not usually.
it barely comes into play because she gets one shot a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't
Bank on
attack
it.
back if you get one shot.
Yeah.
So but she has the stealth ability, which is good.
Which is good in the beginning because it's at range 3. You have to
Yeah, it's good on the first turn.
Yeah.
But after that, it's
that's
not
why
that
she
great.
would be better at the farther back objectives. So
Yeah, 100%. She can stay back there and she'll get benefit from stealth the whole game.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you. So from that game, I obviously didn't have any of the new shield cards. I have since added them to my deck, and I've also added the shield affiliation since that's now out. So my team could potentially be Avengers Sam or Shield Nick Fury. I don't quite like Nick Fury's ability of Shield, but I like the cards, and I got to talk to you about whether or not I could use them if I'm not in the Shield affiliation. So we'll have to talk about that later.
Okay. Well, then let's get into news, shall we?
There's a lot of it.
I mean, it's not really. I kind of
that's true. There's not that much stuff. It's not like
there's a lot of like other games that we don't talk about, like news. Like I mean, we can just say it off the bat. Like Necromunda, they showed some of the cars and stuff for the starter set for the new Mad Max mode. The van looks pretty cool. I think some of the other models look pretty cool. In that for that range, I'm interested to see how it plays though. I mean, I don't really play Necromunda anyway. But I do like the Palanite Enforcer, so if they come up with like the cars for them, I might just buy one to have one. They're kind of fun to paint.
Yeah, like just like me buying all the Space Marine stuff just to have like the quad.
Right. And then, let me see. They announced Skaven and I think it's kind of like Dark Elves for Warhammer Underworlds, Shadespire, whatever they call it now.
That's Age of Sigmar news. You could use them in
not
Age
really.
Sigmar.
I mean, the sculpts are weird. Like I was hoping like rat ogres or something.
That'd be cool for Shadespire.
Yeah, because they showed them
rat
hatching
ogres?
out of the eggs and stuff like that for
That'd
Easter.
Be so cool.
But
like,
they're just like rogues. Like they're a bunch of like assassin rats. And then the dark elves are interesting because it's like, oh, dark elves? Are we gonna do our dark elves now? Which I'm not.
No.
I'm not here for. I'm tired.
I am.
It's just a clone. It's just a clone of what we already have. And
I like dark elves.
It's Daughters of Cain, but bad versions. I don't know. It's weird. That's kind of how I read it. But yeah, so into 40K news, the Tyranny Codex is out. Woo! And there's been a bunch of previews for that before and since it's come out. So we'll start into they did a preview for their vehicle killer weapons. So there's a rupture cannon for the Tyrannifex. It's now strength 14 instead of strength 10, so that's a pretty big buff. AP 4 instead of 3, and damage D6 plus 4 instead of a flat D6. So
that's good.
That's
a relic?
No, it's just the rupture cannon. It's just a regular war gear for the Tyrannifex.
Jesus.
Yeah. The Fleshborer Hive weapon is range 24, assault 30, strength 5, AP 1, damage 1.
So this is for the Tyrannifex?
I don't know what the Fleshborer Hive is from.
That's probably for the the Tyrannid spawner.
Oh yeah,
the HQ that it's the spawner that's in the Turvagon set. It's in the Turvagon set. It's the same model.
So it's
it's cool because like
Assault
when I initially, it is the Turvagon thing because it is the Termagant thing. That's what I want to say. The Termagant spawner. But like when I was looking at the Turvagon originally to add to my list that I was going to do, I wasn't really impressed with it back in the day. Like not back in the day, like before this new codex,
Right.
and I think it was the weapon that was kind of putting me against it. Obviously, they get to shoot twice if they don't move, which is
Right.
cool. But it just wasn't really impressing me. So I was like, I could just get something. I could just get like a Carnifex and have something cooler, like that's more tanky. Not more tanky, but like is more
Yeah.
like in your face kind of thing, which sounded cooler to me. But this sounds so much better.
Yeah.
And I was already using the spawner thing, so now that I get a better gun, that's even better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then they showed the heavy Venom cannon, which is on a few models. That's
Yeah.
range 36, heavy 3, strength 9, AP 3, damage 4. So
That's a war. The Warriors can use that, right?
yeah,
I'm pretty
warriors
sure.
have it. I think the Hive Tyrants have it.
Yeah, Hive Tower. It's like a basic
Yeah,
infantry kind of
but that's like
weapon.
a damage 4, heavy 3 weapon that's range 36 and strength 9, AP 3 is pretty crazy. Like that's strong.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And then we had some more previews for the Parasite of more tracks. This thing, the more I read about this thing is freaking cool.
Yeah, but
It has
flying warriors would have been so much better.
it has the Swift Onslaught Synaptic Imperative. So it's like the things that they can do with the Synapse abilities. Remember?
Yeah, so it's like you
From
have to pay a
last
CP for
Galaxy.
them. You have to
Yeah.
pay a CP for it, and it's like you could choose. It's kind of like choosing a relic in your army.
No, it's like each Synapse creature can use this ability in like an ability that they have on their turn. So like
No. But you have to be. Jesus Christ, my cat's going crazy. No. They're like relic points. Trust me.
okay,
I'm
anyway,
pretty sure.
so it lets a unit within range of it pile in and consolidate an additional 3 inches. So instead of consolidating 3 inches, you're consolidating 6 inches, uh, or like what's it called, or piling in at 6 inches, which is crazy. They'll let you get more guys in there. Um, has the Shadow Hunter ability, which reduces each attack against the parasite, uh, make them -1 to hit, and you can't reroll them. So the more attacks you have, you're not gonna, and your fancy rerolls, you don't get to use them against it. It has a Burrow and Squirm ability, and it makes it so that range attacks against the parasite while it's in cover add an additional +1 to the armor save. So whatever its armor save was, which I think it was like a 3 or 4.
So it's -1/+1, which is like auto, which is good
Yeah.
because it
The
can't be more than that.
Yeah. So the Tyranid, and then there's also more preview of the Hive Fleet adaptations, and those are like you pick the Hive Fleet that you are, and then those Hive Fleets provide certain buffs to your army.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Jormungandr Hive Fleet. I don't know how to say it.
Jormundir.
They get the tunnel networks, and if a ranged attack targets a monster from more than 18 inches away, that unit gets cover. Um, and if it's not a monster, you get cover from more than 12 inches away.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, so your
So
army
your
is
big things, your behemoths basically get cover.
from 18 inches, but then the whole rest of your army, like your Hormagons and stuff, have cover from 12 inches away. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, so you can keep them alive a little bit longer. Um, they also get an adaptation to their units called Adaptive, and that halves the number of units hit by blast weapons. So if you get hit with a blast weapon, instead of taking 6, you'll take 3 or whatever. Like it takes the maximum, but you would just half that instead. Um, you can swap out this adaptive adaptation if you want for other rules. They showed some. They're called like Augmented Ferocity, which adds 1 to charge rolls. So that's good if you want to get a little farther. Unfeeling Resilience, and that makes the unit count as having double the amount of wounds left when determining brackets. So like maybe you would want that for like a big creature if you have like a bunch of big guys that could get bracketed and stuff like that. Um, and Wreathed in Shadow, and that makes a unit not be able to be targeted by Overwatch or set to defend. Your typing is so loud.
A stupid keyboard.
So that the Wreathed in Shadow makes so that your unit can't be targeted by Overwatch or set to defend against. So that's pretty cool. That's a good Tau counter, I guess, if you know you're going to be fighting a lot of Tau. Um, they also showed some adaptive physiologies. The Carnifex have something called the Whip Coil Reflexes, and that makes it so that when an enemy falls back, you get to roll a d6, and on a 2-up, the unit takes d3 mortal wounds. So it's like you hit them for running away from you. There's also one that can be added to a monster. It's called the Synaptic Enhancement that gives the there's also one that can be to a monster, and it's called Synaptic Enhancement, and that gives the model Shadow and the Warp and Synapse abilities, as well as the Synapse keyword. So you'll be able to make it a Psyker and do all that other cool stuff, and then so you can just give it to like something that doesn't have that ability. Um, and then there's the Hardened. Sorry.
Nice one.
There's the Hardened Biology Adaptive Physiology that adds 1 to the saving throw of the model that it's attached to. So you can increase the saving throw of any model, like any of your hero models, by 1 if you equip this like thing onto them. You know, it's like their war gear or whatever. We also talked about, this is the last one for the Tyranids, I swear. We did a preview for stratagems for them. So there's the Acidic Torrent, and that means for each Acid Maw infantry model in the engagement range rolls a d6, or 3d6 if it's a monster, and for each 3+, the enemy takes a mortal wound. So to a maximum of 6. So you'll pretty much always get 6 free mortal wounds if you not free, but command point usage mortal wounds from this ability. Voracious Appetite lets a Hive Tendril monster reroll wound rolls when attacking, that's another good one. I mean, this is a cool, easy stratagem to have on hand. Endless Swarm lets an Endless Multitude unit add D3+3 destroyed models back to the unit at full health, so they'll be able to bring guys back from the dead. Overrun lets a Hive Tendril unit let a model that has charged and not get engaged. Like, so if they made a charge roll and they didn't make it, they get to make a normal move instead of a consolidation move. And then Critical Mass lets a Hydra unit re-roll wound rolls if the target has less models than them. So what the Hydra unit is, I don't know. It's probably like warriors and stuff. It's probably just whatever their keywords are. So that's it for Tyranids. And then, we missed it. We didn't have this podcast. This podcast wasn't going when we did it, but there was an April Fool's joke about some dwarfy dwarfs coming to Warhammer 40K, and I remember talking to you, Robert, on that day and be like, "What a tone deaf April Fool's joke! Like, they know people have been asking for dwarves forever. Why would they tease this? Like, they're like teasing you just to be a jerk about it, right? Like we both thought that, right?"
Yep.
Well, guess
How
what?
insensitive of them.
Yeah, how insensitive. But guess what? It's real. They're bringing squats to 40K. They're going to be their own flushed out faction. They're called the Leagues of Votan. They showed one model. It looks like a cool like
Basic
space
infantry
marine dwarf.
Yeah.
Just a basic infantry kind of guy. And
It's like Tau mixed with Space Marine vibe.
Yeah, and I think they said that it's this year. They'll be coming out toward the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot more obviously stuff to learn about for them, but I mean that kind of changes some of our rumor engines maybe some of those like wheeled vehicles and stuff might be for them.
Yeah, and it's weird because like they are cool, but like we kind of got to hold our breath for a second. Right. Like it's 40K, so we know that it's going to be more supported than Sigmar.
Yeah.
So they're probably going to get more things than Sigmar armies do when they come out. But I mean, how much can they realistically actually get? It's kind of in question, at least to me, because it's like you're probably only going to get one troop choice.
Well, you're probably even then, right? That Rough Rider guest that we had, remember, with the grenades on the lances, like
yeah, but that could be an elite choice. Like that's like you get one elite, one heavy, one troop, and maybe one pack of HQ potential. It's like I just don't see them having enough to at least be even considered viable until maybe next year.
Yeah, I would love to be proven wrong on that, but
1,000%.
But yeah.
I would love to see the Colossus tank thing and all the motorcycles and cars and trucks. Absolutely, I would love for them to come out with like.
Right, I was getting Gene Stealer
20 models.
Speaking of motorcycles, I was getting Gene Stealer vibes from the armor that the model had on it. So
yeah.
Maybe it'll be like kind of like that, and yeah, so it was cool. I mean, and then also like in other news, the next update is going to be Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, and I was talking to Robert about it. And I was like, I kind of hope they tank this release so I can sell my knights and then just get the Leagues of Votan and get dwarves instead, because I'm kind of a dwarf player. But from the releases, which we'll get into later, that they've been showing about them. It doesn't look like they're getting tanked that bad. So,
Well, they might be more frugal for you to sell it
right,
potentially.
because
Like
knights
you
hold
get
their
more
value
out of
very
it.
well.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I sold mine for the same price that I got them for.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, definitely a lot more to come for that. I'm definitely excited about it. I didn't think
For
I'd
sure.
get excited about 40k stuff like this.
Yeah, and I'm definitely down for you to get into 40k more because I have
Yeah, it's just a rough.
3
Yeah,
armies.
I just the army building is what kills it for me. It's so much like stuff, you know.
Yeah, Sigmar's
And then
getting more complicated too.
also the stratagems kind of kill it for me too. It's like Marvel Crisis Protocol where you have other things outside of the game to remember also. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I have that card that does this thing, you know, like
Hmm.
so that's what kind of kills it for me. But anyway, so they showed some knight stuff. So getting into that, there's a new kit for the Chaos Knight faction. Before they didn't have really any war dogs for their people, and so they have a war dog kit now. It's for the carnivore, and it's carnivore with a K, in case you were wondering if it wasn't hardcore enough. Um, that's a melee focused like war dog, and it has a slaughter claw and a reaper chain talon, so it's like a chainsaw and like a big claw. There's the war dog brigand, and that's the shooty knight, and it has like an avenger chain cannon and a demon breath spear, which is kind of like a multi-melta looking kind of thing. And then there's the War Dog Stalker, which is kind of the in between, right? It has one melee weapon and one ranged weapon from those choices above. So pretty versatile, and they all have the little machine gun that you can put on top as well. There's also a new kit for the Knight Abominate. Um, so
The head looks so cool, like the
this
skull head.
this thing, I hope the Imperial Knights get something like this because this thing's also a psyker. It has psyker powers. Uh, and it
Mm.
has a Volkite combustor and an electro surge arm, which has like tentacle. It's like a tentacle arm. It's
I mean,
pretty
but that's
cool.
heresy, right?
But like the psyker abilities on a knight, I'm like, what? That's cool.
Which means you also get
It's
the
like its
Night
own warp.
Witch
It's like
stuff.
its own warp lore. It's like its own psyker lore. I forget what it's
Yeah.
called, but I mean, it's still pretty cool. The kit can also instead build a knight rampager that has Sunder Mortality. Wait, it's like a melee might. I mean a melee time or a Knight Desecrator, which is the gun knight. So I mean it's cool to see more stuff, but I you know as an Imperial player, not like really Imperial player, but you know. I don't like I hate to see all this extra support for chaos and be like,
Imperium.
yeah, I'm like I hate to see all this chaos stuff and be like, but what about my knights? Like, but that's I guess that's just the ungrateful gamer in me. I guess I don't know.
Ungrateful swine.
So they were showing some of the upgrades to the weapons for the Imperial Knights, and these look pretty cool. The Plasma Decimator, in its standard and supercharged attack, is now just +1 strength, AP, and damage across the board, and it has blast now. That it's cool, but it's weird because now if you use the supercharged attack, you take 2 mortal wounds instead of 1 mortal wound.
Good.
I was like, but I mean, like for just one additional everything, like I was like, oh, that's kind of
Yeah, I remember back in the day when weapons that got hot didn't hurt vehicles because had supposedly had better heat sinks in them.
yeah,
Like, what happened to that? Like that's the one thing I miss about old Warhammer 40k because like I shouldn't be hurting myself as a faction of mech vehicles
right.
who get like why would a tank burn itself?
Well, I think it's because I mean, not to get too much into lore, which we don't really talk about here, but you know, it's they're ancient machines that they don't even really know how that they work, and it's just that it's
Your ancient machines, but Lehman Russ tanks
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
plasma cannons,
Well, I
that
think
kind of
aren't the
stuff.
plasma
That's
cannons
what I'm
still
talking
like
about.
relics and stuff? I don't know. I don't know enough about it to be like, you
No, because they
remember
build
this?
new tanks. Well, and still Tau.
Yeah. Um, so the Reaper Chainsword looks a lot more viable now. Like before, I didn't use it, but now it has 2 attacks instead of just one. Um, so uh, the oops. So the standard attack is just an additional 1 to the AP from the old profile. But the new sweep attack that it has is strength user AP 3 damage 2, and it does 3 attacks for each one that you use. So kind of like the stomp works for the bigger for the knights and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. And then the laser destructor is now 72-inch range,
Jesus.
heavy 2, strength 14, AP 5, damage D3 plus 6. Um, that's pretty cool. I don't know. I don't have anything that has laser destructor on it. I don't think that's a weapon. I think that's for the other knight, the bigger knight.
Isn't that for Canis Rex?
No,
Or is
that's
that?
the las impulsor. So that's this
Oh, got
next
it, got it, got
weapon.
it.
So on low intensity, it just does a flat 2 damage now instead of D3, and it has
That's good.
blast. And then the high intensity is now range 24 and does a flat 4 damage instead of D6 with the blast ability.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
it took
fine.
some of the randomness out of it, and giving blast is cool too.
It's cool and it's not. Like I
Yeah,
think
right.
because in melee, I think you'd still lose the ability to shoot it,
Well, I think
even
the
though
las
you're
impulsor still isn't.
behemoth.
I still think the las impulsor isn't as cool as I think it should be. Because I mean, if you think las cannon and like las pulsar,
Yeah,
they're like the same thing. I'm
but
like,
then you say las gun, and it's like okay, no, it's not that cool.
right, right,
It's a big flashlight.
right.
Hey, the las pistol is my favorite Warhammer weapon. Like don't get me wrong, I am a fan of las pistols. I'm a fan of las guns of the Imperium in general. So it's
Yeah.
like Imperial Knights are my first love. I love las pistols. So
The Imperial Guard were your first love, not Imperial Knights.
yeah, flashlights for the win.
And then there was a new balance data slate that you can
Ugh.
download on the Warhammer community website. It's very dense with a lot of words, so I didn't read it. But
Basically, it's the same thing as this Aegis Sigmar thing.
But if you play 40k, definitely look at it and look for your armies and what changed,
Yeah.
or what got changed. So that's it for 40k. Moving on to Aegis Sigmar, there's not a whole lot, like always. Um, the Arena of Shades came out. That's the Night Haunt and Daughters of Cain set. They have the new profiles for some of the things. The crossbow boys aren't as cool as I was hoping they would be, but I mean they definitely fill a role, I guess. So I'll still probably be picking them up. They're cheap point wise, so maybe that leaves room for the big boat boy when we get his points and stuff like that. But we'll see. There was a preview of the High Gladiatrix, which is the Daughters of Cain hero the new hero that they get. She has this pretty cool ability called Killing Stroke. She can pick an enemy hero at the end of combat, and she gets to roll a d3, and then she gets to add that d3 plus the amount of wounds that enemy already has taken, and if that number is equal to or greater than the enemy's total wounds characteristic, they're dead. It kills them. So it's like, wait, this is a really good ability. Like, because it's not like you have to roll to see if it hits. Like she gets it.
Yeah, it's like the who has that in my list? I feel like I have something very similar.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
To where it's like I could just kill you.
yeah. This is like, what was it?
We were talking about it recently. I forgot what it
Right.
was though.
It was Corn.
Yeah.
It's
Anyways,
Corn. It's one of the Corn guys.
it's Corn. Yes, 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 yes. It's the leader, the guy with the dog.
Right.
Could do the same thing. It's like he hits you, and then if he rolls like a 6, you're dead.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that though, because you don't have to roll a 6. You just get to roll a d3 and do
True,
that
true,
much damage
true.
plus how much wounds they already had. Like,
True.
thankfully, it doesn't add that many wounds. It's just if it's higher than their wounds, then you get to kill them.
Yeah.
But like, so she doesn't have a chance of like killing like bigger units.
Yeah,
Actually,
you're not killing
Actually, she
it.
does, because if you have like maybe like 10 damage and she rolls like a 3, then it's 13, and that higher than like a
True.
yeah. So
True.
there is a chance. I mean, it's definitely gonna take longer, but she doesn't have to do those wounds to the enemy to make it happen. You know, it's just as long as that
Mhm.
enemy has wounds. So that was pretty cool.
I see.
There's a new narrative campaign book called Seasons of War Fondia.
Seasons
There's a
of-
terrain set for that set, has 6 terrain pieces, and the new Cron Spined Incarnate, which is I don't know, I can't really get information on this. I can't really find it. I don't have the book, so but so I don't know if it's a unit that you can add to any army. The Cron Spire Incarnate. It's what's on the cover of the book. It's like a weird skeleton dragon thing. So it can be commanded by every army. I know that much. Um, I don't know if it's like a spell that you have to cast or if you just get it and you include it in your army list. Um, but here's some things about this, about the Cron Spine Incarnate, because there was a preview about that. It has a Vicious Claws attack, and that's range 1, 6 attacks, 3s and 3s to hit and wound, and 2 rend, damage 2. It has Tearing Fangs, which is range 2, and that's 1 attack only though. Strength 3. Oh no, 3s and 2s to hit and wound. Rend 3 and damage 4. So it has pretty good. It has pretty strong attacks, like just like for fighting. So it doesn't have a wounds characteristic. Instead, their power is marked by a series of states, like that go from empowered to abolished, and it has to. You have to kind of. It starts in a primal state, and will shift up as it devours endless spells. So I guess it can kill endless spells and kill monsters and stuff like that. So as it slays monsters and devours endless spells, it levels up pretty much. And then when you damage it, it levels down. So I think you probably have to damage it like 3 times and then maybe it dies. But I don't know. So it's kind of weird. I don't know if it's going to be able to be playable. I mean, it probably is playable in matched play, but because this is a narrative book, I don't know. So that's it for like the Aegis Sigmar news. Again, like I said, it's not a whole lot. We did have a couple rumor engines. There was one which was it's like a little golem like thing sitting on a skull. It kind of looks like remember a couple weeks ago, Robert, that little creature that was inside like a cape or something, like in a bassinet, like just
The other thing we thought was like a Skaven or something.
right. So it looks kind of like the same kind of thing. Um, so I guess we're leaning, hopefully Beast of Chaos for that. But Skaven is possible, but it doesn't really look like a rat. And then, but also could be like Flesh Eater Quartz or like a vampire baby of some sort, right? Like
It's a squat. It's a joke. It's just it's the dwarf.
They're squats. They're just squats.
Yeah.
And then there was another. Then the other rumor engine for this week, it was like a hooved, armored thing standing on like a statue. So again, hoping Beast of Chaos, but it also could be like a Sneech thing, because they're weird. But yeah, that's it for Games Workshop. What do you got?
Ooh. So there's only a few things for Atomic Mass, but there is stuff. So I guess in light of Armada stuff being non-existent for the
Well, no, they showed those
probably
new skins.
6 or 8 months. So they've released rapid reinforcements for Armada, which is basically ways for factions to add ships to their roster without having to make new models. So basically, the Imperials will get the Venator 2 Star Destroyer, which is the Republic's big giant ship. So Empire has access to that now. It looks pretty good. I'm noticing this new defense token on it. I don't know if it's new to the Republic era or if it's been in the game for a while, because I think I have had this before. I don't think. It's called Salvo, and it's cool. It's like once you get hit, you can make an attack back if you spend the token, like right away. So that's pretty cool. So the Empire gets the clone ship, and the Rebels get access to the Separatist ship, the General Grievous ship thingy, the big Pelican thing. So the Rebels get that. The Rebels get the Pelican, and the Empire get the Clone Wars Star Destroyer. Darth Vader has been added as a squadron for TIE Defenders now as well. So you could have him in a TIE Defender in the TIE Advanced, or you could have him as your leader. So that's cool. And he has like while he attacks a unique squadron, each year hits do 1 extra damage. He could reroll dice. He's a bomber, and they're rogue, so that's good as well. And they have a bunch of cool defense tokens. The Rebels get Hera Syndulla in X-wings. So instead of having her in the Ghost Squad, you could have her in X-wing squads, and she has some good escort abilities as well as dodge and as well as bomber. So that's cool. But the big news would be in the new stuff for clones and droids. So clones have access to the Victory 1 Star Destroyer, which is the Star Destroyer that comes in the original starter set. So it's the baby Star Destroyer. So they get access to that now. So they have another ship, which is cool, in my opinion. I have an extra one, Dale, so you could probably take that from me.
No, that's by the one that's repainted. That's rather by the repaint.
And then they get Anakin Skywalker and Delta 7s, which is the Jedi Starfighter, right?
Gen 1 Jedi Starfighter, yeah.
Yeah, so you could get Anakin and Jedi Starfighters. And he could do... Oh, he get auto damage extra squads after he attacks, which is cool. And the droids get something stupid. They get the Gazanti class cruisers, which is from the Empire, and it's the things that carry the TIE fighters. It's the transports.
Oh, it's a big aircraft carrier thing. The triangle.
No. You know how the rebels get the two ships on one base thing.
Yeah. The brown ships that have like the little TIE fighters that they hold, right?
Yes, they get those.
2 TIE fighters, and that's it. Like.
Yes, that's what they get. So it's like, this is dumb, and they don't get any new squadrons.
Nice.
So
suck it.
Yay!
You guys get all the cool models for Legion.
Yeah, that is true. Their Legion stuff is on point.
I like the spider tank.
So yeah, that's horrible. So the other news we got was for Star Wars Legion. They have announced the Shadow Collective starter set, as well as the Black Sun Enforcers, Mandalorian Super Commandos, and Pike Syndicate Foot Soldiers. So these are all new box sets that'll be for the new faction, the Shadow Collective.
All the things are in the Shadow Collective starter set, right? Like all of those.
Correct. Yes, all those 3 things are in there.
There
are no vehicles announced.
Can we talk about this for a second? Look.
Hold on. Let me get through it real quick. There are no vehicles. There are...
Who are the heroes?
It looks like Maul.
Just Maul, okay.
It's Maul, and it looks like you might get...
like random Pike guy or something like that.
Like the Mandalorian leader people. What's their names?
Pre-Vizsla?
Yeah, Pre-Vizsla and stuff. So there's that stuff, but beyond, like, it looks like Maul is coming in the Shadow Collective starter set. Right. So you can't get him any other ways besides buying the starter set. The starter set also comes with all the movement tools and stuff you'll need to play. They also announced a card pack, which will catch everyone up to the game. So if you want to buy the Shadow Collective box, you could buy the box that gives you all the upgrade cards, kind of like they did with Armada when they came out with the Republic. Mm-hmm. So that's good. So it'll be all the new reprinted cards. So it might be good to pick up, just to have. So that was all that. So what did you want to say about that?
So I like that we have a new faction, but I don't.
But why them?
Well, I just wish it wasn't so mishmashy. Like give us a Mandalorian faction. Give us who's asking for Pikes? I don't know who's asking for Pikes. Like, they're in the show. This is like the first. I mean, they're in the Clone Wars too, but like this is like the first we've really seen of them. So it's like, who cares? And then there's like the green, like, Prince Seizure people, right? Like, like, again, who cares? Like, just give us.
I would care if we had more like models that they were showing with it, and if it was a cohesive faction. It doesn't seem like a cohesive faction. It's like, here's the alien faction,
right? And it's not, and it's just weird. Like, just give us Mandalorians. Like, I would be down for like a Death Watch faction or something like that, right? Like, and like, what era is it? Is it Clone Wars era? Is it now era?
Well, it has to be Clone Wars because Darth Maul's in it.
That's true, right? But then they have like all the Pikes that look like their modern Pike armor, not the older Pike armor. And then
so it's like, it's just stupid shit like that. But
and the no vehicles and stuff too, right? Like, it's the same thing. Like with
you can't
worry about for the dwarves that they're gonna come out with a bunch of stuff, but they're not gonna be usable for like a pretty long time.
Yeah, there's no way you're gonna tell me that's all they're coming out with when they come out with it, because if they don't have any vehicles, those Mandalorians better kick ass then. Like, like they're rocket. They better all have rocket launchers. They better, like, I mean, I know Legion isn't really a vehicle game, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like, if everyone
else has them, then you should have them.
Yeah, if you can't take out an ATST, because all you have is pistols, like because it's literally what everyone has, just pistols.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna do well. And I just think it's definitely a lame faction
Yeah.
in my mind. And like which kind of leads me into the next thing is that during Adepticon, for celebrate the 40th anniversary of Return of the
Are you
Jedi,
calling
it's
this a lame faction?
rumored
Because I'll punch you in the face if you're calling this
it's a lame faction.
How dare
It's
you?
rumored that Ewoks are coming as a faction to Star Wars Legion next year. And I think that is the stupidest thing ever.
They almost single-handedly took down the Empire.
Okay, so let's talk about
armor
this.
does nothing.
Let's talk about this. You're gonna you have basically an all melee faction.
No, they have bow
You're
and
gonna
arrows, and
have
they have E11s.
they have bow and arrows, they have slings,
and they have guns. And
you're not gonna
stormtroopers and speeder bikes.
You're not gonna put a speeder bike.
We're gonna have Chewbacca in an ATST leader
as a commander.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's just like you can't.
No, it's weird.
Like the reason they were winning was because they were in a forest and they set up traps. Like they had, like you can't set up unless their whole deal is that you get to set up traps during the battle.
Or you get a catapult unit that you get to walk around and shoot catapult stuff at people.
Yeah, they have gliders and they can drop rocks on top of ATSTs. let's think of everything we know about Ewoks. We're talking about, so I get Tink and Sindel as my and Noah as my commanders.
Yeah, and
we get Mace. We get Mace. Yep. We get. So those are the humans we get, and like the other Ewoks. We get Wicket,
and we get his name's not Tink. It's
Tink.
No, it's not. I looked it up. I watched it recently. So we're talking about the movies Battle for Endor and Caravan of Courage.
Yeah. Very brutal movies. But do we get the witch who gets to turn into
the crow
or the crow lady? Like, do you get the monkey people? Like those were on Endor. They were on Endor.
Yeah.
But it's like
Teek.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So okay, you get Sindel, you get no, they're not giving you these, by the way. They're totally not giving you.
They're giving you the principal from Breakfast Club as Sindel's dad.
Yes. Yeah, it's just so weird because like, what do you get? You get
and then we get
Ewoks with spears.
We get the blurgs. With like,
because think of the movies real quick. Think of those movies. Were there any other vehicles or weapons that we didn't see in Return of the Jedi? Because this is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, not the 40th anniversary of freaking Battle for Endor.
Or Battle for Endor.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing.
So there are gliders. We know that.
Yeah. What else? Like the pterodactyls and shit that live on that planet, and like the giants.
That's what I'm saying. Like the giants, and the monkey people, the monkey people with the guns.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so I'm just confused about what they're gonna get and how.
If they get Battle for Endor shit, if we get Sindel and Noah and shit like Wilford Brimley
and that ship with the freaking cannons on it,
I am 100% buying it.
It's just so weird. So yeah, that was potentially announced, but there's no models or anything for it yet, so we're just sitting here spitballing. And then a date for the mini Apocalypse Palooza Ganza has been announced, like June 9th.
And that's when we're finally going to get information on new stuff for
otherwise,
because they're not showing anything until then.
They're not showing anything, so maybe they'll show Ewoks, maybe they'll show, because right now we have no new releases for Crisis Protocol. Yeah, so the next release, the Quinjet will be released next month, hopefully. So that's it. That's all we have.
Yeah, but we still don't have a release date for like the Sentinel pack, which is like they're gonna announce that we've already known has been coming forever, and it's just like, come on, guys, like.
What should be the one that's the only thing they're gonna announce?
Well, I would imagine some sort of Sentinels to be into the game, right? Would be kind of cool. Nimrod would be cool.
Nimrod would be cool.
But like, I don't know, like, it's weird. It's just so quiet over there.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of living in the era of everything being caught up now, and they're just kind of taking a break because they had all that whole, like, everything was so behind for so long, and now that everyone's able to catch up.
Stuff though, I mean, it's
no, I know, but it might be like they might have so little for other things that they're just going to be like, it's easier to release it as a big huge thing, so it looks like more than it actually is. Yeah. That's what I'm worried about.
my guess is we're either getting a 2.0 or plus a new starter set or a new starter set, right? Like it'll be a new set
Yeah,
with
we're
new
probably getting.
characters.
That makes sense. We're probably definitely getting a new starter set, but I don't think we're getting a 2.0. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I would.
In order to come out with these cards that they're coming out with, they could have just made cards for everyone else. Like it doesn't make sense for them to make a 2.0 at this point. Like
Well,
because now they have to change the rules for the cards that they just made.
not unless they put it digital or they do like with a companion app, or if they do like the new starter set comes with every card for every
I would love a
character.
list builder.
Right. So, I wouldn't I mean, these companies love to do 2.0s and all that stuff, so I wouldn't take that off the table.
I'm not taking it off the table. I just think it's the game's only just now catching its stride. I think that would be stupid to put 2.0
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. But I mean, like, remember though, like when they first made this game, it wasn't built with competitiveness in
But
mind.
they've tweaked the cards, which means that it's not like that anymore.
Right.
If they
But also that means that, maybe some of the designs of the game wasn't for that they need to kind of correct, and a 2.0 is the only way to fix that. I don't know. I'm
I
just
don't think. Yeah, I don't think you need to fix like first like for me personally. It's like I don't think like I think there would just need to be tweaks. I wouldn't think it would be a whole new book. Like, you know what I mean? It's like things you could just change the wording for in the code in the rule book.
yeah, we'd have to see. We'll see.
Anyways, that's it. There's been some like tournament pack releases for X-wing. There was a new ship like Cad Bane's ship came out for X-wing. And there's just been like new tournament packs, so like new movement tools, new ships for X-wing, that kind of stuff, and that's basically it, though.
There's new starter sets for some of the Song of Ice and Fire stuff. There's a new Stark starter set and a Lannister starter set, I think.
Yeah, but they're
And
not widely
right,
available.
and at Wonder, though the update cards aren't widely available yet either.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So it's like there is stuff.
and
It's
then
just
I was at WonderCon. I saw updates I saw the Targaryen starter set as well as the Baratheon starter set over
oh,
there.
didn't they announce a new faction for
White
Song of Ice and
Walkers,
Fire?
White Walkers.
No, the Tullys or not the Tullys, the Rose people.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, that's a yeah. So that's a new faction. There's a new faction for Song of Ice and Fire. It's the I forget their names.
Remember the lady with like the thing, was it that got
Yeah,
poisoned?
the badass bitch with the fucking who's
Yeah,
like I know you fucked your sister.
yeah,
Get
yeah,
out of my house. I killed that man. I killed your son. I killed your sister. You know that
yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
girl.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's a faction for them. It looks pretty cool.
Cool. Do you have any questions for me, for the audience?
No.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit that like button. New videos every Wednesday. Podcasts gonna start going back online on Saturdays. And thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one.